Okay, good evening, everyone. Good Tavach. Welcome. Thank you for coming and joining us for the learning of Torah Hashem. Baruch Shechiyanu, V'kiyamanu, V'giyanu, Lazman Hazeh, to the start of Masechtas Bava Metzia with the help of Hashem. And we have two sponsors for this new Masechta. It's being sponsored by A.B. Spry, and he's sponsoring the Bavas in the schus that all of his children should be zeichet to be Bavas, which is, I think, a very beautiful sponsorship. And also, we're sponsored by my new Talmud, Michal Avram Chavin, who's sponsoring also Bava Metzia. Tonight's shir, it's Yitzi Muller, is in middle of Sheva Brachas. He's sponsoring tonight's shir, Le'ilui Nishmas A. Baba, Aisha Finkel, Bas Rabbi Nachum Mendel. Her neshama should have an aliyah. She should be a Melitzas Yosher for her family, for all of us, and all of Klal Yisrael. Please bear with me as I spoke an hour. Of course, I gave a drasha in the morning in Mati's Minyan in Deerfield, and I spoke an hour in the Young Israel of Deerfield before Mincha, and then I spoke for Baruch Ian in the Shtibel in Deerfield. So my voice is a little bit scratchy, and I have a cough, but hopefully in the schus of the tzibur, it should go well. I'm not sure he's incognito. I'm not sure if that's the Mati, if that's our Mati. If it is, you should let us know. We want to greet you properly. But we welcome in Saba, Aaron Swade, Dr. Black, Eddie Chazan, Mel Zachter, Ben-Zion Cohen, Stephen Holtzman, Nachmi Mansky, Irving Fishbaum, Yitzi Fuchs, Bruce Eisenberg, Dr. Guy, and of course Bruce is going to be here for the entire Masechta without missing a day. Dr. Guy, Shimon Klein, and A.B. Spry, and Chaim Lerner. Chaim, it's great to have you. Berish Gesserman, Baruch Ian, Nachman Chapler, Moshe Lehman, Yitzi Muller. Oh, Yitzi is here. Great. Ilya Shutman, Rabbi Kranz, Mazel Tov Yitzi, Naftali Javelin, Mati, two Matis. I don't know what's going on there. Abe Arbach, and Ruben Shannon is with us. Richard Rosenzweig has just joined us for the new Masechta. David Helfgott, I think, is on Zoom phone. Yes, he just alerted me. He's on Zoom phone. Okay. So this is a Masechta, as Dr. Block says, that brings back memories, childhood memories. Shnaim oichsim betalis. If let's say that Eddie and Abi are both holding on to a talis. Eddie says, I found it. And Abi says, I found it. Eddie says, it's all mine. And Abi says, it's all mine. Now, you have to understand that the Gemara is going to end up saying that this is not all one case. First, the Gemara is going to think it's one case, that I found it and it's mine. And Abi said, I found it, it's mine. The Gemara is going to say a second case, that Zeh Makula Shali is talking about that Eddie says that I bought it from Nachman, and Abi says that I bought it from Nachman. So, Zeh Yeshava, since they're going to have to split it, they swear, Zeh Yeshava she'ein loy b'poches mechetzia. Abi swears that he doesn't have less than half, because he swears about what he's going to keep. V'zeh Yeshava she'ein loy b'poches mechetzia, and Eddie swears he doesn't have less than half. V'yachloiku, and then they divide it. Zeh Makula Shali, if Abi says it's all mine, V'zeh Mechetzia Shali, and Eddie says half of it is mine, so that means that half of it Eddie relinquishes to Abi. They're only arguing in the second half, and the second half has to be split, and therefore Abi will take 3/4 and Eddie will take 1/4. So therefore, the Gemara says, Abi, who says that it's all mine, that he doesn't have less than 3/4, V'aymer chetzia shali, and Eddie, who's going to take a quarter, says Yeshava shein lo pachas miravia, that he doesn't have less than a quarter. So Zed Noitel Shlosh Chalakim, Abi then takes 3/4, V'Zed Noitel Ravia, and Eddie takes a quarter. If both Abi and Eddie are riding an animal, they're both in possession of the animal, or Abi was riding it, the Echad Manig, and Eddie was leading it, holding on to the reins. And here again, Eddie says it's all mine, and Abi says it's all mine. Each one swears that they don't have less than half. Abi swears he doesn't have less than half, and Eddie swears he doesn't have less than half. They divide. When they're in agreement, and the Gemara is going to say what's the chiddush of where they're in agreement, but when they're in agreement, or each one has witnesses, then they divide without a shvur. So now the Mishnah said two things. Eddie says I found it, Abi says I found it. And Eddie says it's all mine, and Abi says it's all mine. That's the same thing. Because if Eddie found it, then it's all his. If Abi found it, it's all his. So why the repetition? So that's Gemara's first question. Shashi, thank you. This was a big help. So says the Gemara, Lama li lamisna, what does it have to say? Ze'aymer ani matzasiyah, v'ze'aymer ani matzasiyah, ze'aymer kula shali, v'ze'aymer kula shali. I mean, it's the same thing. Lisnei chada. Says the Gemara, well, it is the same thing. Chada kitani, it's actually saying the same thing. Ze'aymer ani matzasiyah, I found it, and therefore the kula shali, it's all mine. V'ze'aymer ani matzasiyah, and Abi says I found it, and therefore the kula shali. So if it's the same thing, remember, Torah Shebaal Peh had to be learned by heart. And since Torah Shebaal Peh had to be learned by heart, therefore we try to Tana knock at Lashon Kitzar. The Tana uses a short style because they had to memorize it. So they tried to do it as short as possible. And therefore that begs the question, why just not say that Eddie says Kula Shali, and Abi says Kula Shali, and that's the Gemara's next question. Lisnei, says the Gemara, V'lisnei ani matzasiyah, just say that Abi says I found it, and Eddie says I found it, V'ana yadana de Kula Shali, and we would know therefore that means that he's claiming that it's all mine. Says the Gemara, it's telling you that if Abi says I saw it first, that means nothing. You don't acquire it by seeing it first. You can't acquire with Re'iyah. As we welcome in Pesach Sigelman, it's great to have you for the new Masechta. So says the Gemara, it's coming to tell you if it would just say I found it, what does it mean I found it? Re'isiya, I saw it. And I would think that even though it didn't get into Abi's hand, Beriya ba'al makan, he acquires it just by seeing it first. So Tana Kula Shali, it says Kula Shali, it's all mine. The Beriya laikana, you don't acquire anything by seeing it. Says Gemara, Mi matzis amrit my mitzasiya. Can you say that the meaning of finding it is Re'isiya, is to see it? V'amar Ravnai taught us umitzasa, when the pasuk says umitzasa, I found her, the asi liyadei mashme, it means that it came to your hand. So you see that the term mitzasiyah doesn't mean I saw it, it means it came to my hand. Says the Gemara, you're right. That's biblical language. In umitzasa dikra, the biblical language of I found it, the asal yadei mashma. Literally that means that it came into my possession. But here we're talking about the common vernacular, the way that people talk. As the Gemara says, miu tana lishna da almanok. It's talking about the way people talk. And the way people talk, as soon as they see it, I found it. And somebody sees a wall, I found it, I saw it first. Even if it didn't come to his hand, he might think that he acquires it since he's the first one that spotted it. Therefore, Tani Kula Shali, it tells me that it's, Abi also said it's all mine. It's not enough mitzasiyah that I found it. The Beriya Ba'alma loy kanila. So the Gemara says, okay, so then don't leave it to make an error. Just let it say Velisna Kula Shali. Let it say that Abi said it's all mine. Whatever is halachically all mine. V'loy boy ani mitzasiyah. And then you don't have to say the ani mitzasiyah, which would leave it open to a question that maybe it means that seeing it is enough. Says Gemara, no, but that's what it wants to teach us. It wants to teach us that seeing it is not good enough. Itana kula shali havamina ba'alma. I might think that normally the ketani mitzasiyah, when it says that somebody finds something, I might think that b're'iyah ba'alma kani, that you could acquire it just by seeing it first, just by spotting it. That's why it says a double lashon over here. Tana ani mitzasiyah, I found it. V'hadir tana kula shali, that it's all mine. The Mishnah Yesera, since it says the extra words, it's not enough to say ana mitzasiyah. It has to say kula shali to tell me that spotting it is not enough. You have to actually pick it up. Ashmin under Riyah like kani. Says the Gemara, this would be a very nice pshat. And really, it's nice to already be welcoming in Gedalia now, and Ben Kaniel, and Mo, it's good to have you as well, with 32 Zoomers just getting underway over here in the new Masechta. Also, we want to welcome in Sandy Grunfeld, Shaya Bassman, who's joining us as well, and basically, Rabbi Isai, the Gemara says this would be a nice pshat to say Mitzasiyah and Kula Shali is all talking about one case, except that it's not possible to learn it that way. Because the Gemara splits it up, as we welcome Yaakov Brody, and the Gemara splits it up into two cases. Look at the Mishnah. The Mishnah says, Ze'ayma ani mitzasiyah, ze'ayma ani mitzasiyah, ze'ayma kula shali, ze'ayma kula shali. So obviously it's talking about two different cases. Says the Gemara, Mi matzis amrit, can you say chada ketani, that it's one case in the Mishnah? You can't say it. V'azev ezeh ketani. It says ze'ayma ani mitzasiyah, ze'ayma ani mitzasiyah, that Abi says I found it, Eddie said I found it, and then it says another case. If it was all one case, it wouldn't have to say it twice. So therefore Gemara says back to the drawing board. It's not one case, it's two cases. Amar Rav Papa Shimi bar Ashi. Rav Papa said, and others say it was Rav Shimi bar Ashi who said, V'imri la Kadi. Now throughout Shas, when it says Kadi, there's two pshatim in Kadi. One pshat is that there was a scholar by the name of Kadi. There's another pshat that Kadi means Kadi, whomsoever. It's non-attributable. We don't know who it is. It's someone. Reisha b'Metzia, the first case is Taka where Eddie says I found it and Abi said I found it. The Seifa b'Mekach u'Memkar. And the Seifa is talking about where Eddie says I bought it from Nachman and Abi says I bought it from Nachman. V'Tzricha. And we have to teach both cases to tell you that in both cases they have to swear. The Itana Metzia, if it's in the case where it's a lost article, Havamina Metziu the Rama Rabbanim Shvua. You know why the Rabbanim put a Shvua on Eddie and Abi? One of them found it. The other one says, look, no loss. Anyway, it was lying in the street. So I'm going to grab it also, and Eddie will split it with me. I'm not taking anything away. He still gets a windfall. So there, the Tana Metzia Havamina Metziu the Rama Rabbanim Shvua Mishum de Moirei v'Amar, because Abi is Moirei Heter, the same way Eddie is Moirei Heter. Chavroi lav midei chasaba. He's not going to lose anything. He just found it. So we were walking together. I'll grab it also and we'll split it. Hazel itfis, I'll grab it. It's Palik Badeh, and we'll split it. And therefore they make Abi swear to see if he's telling the truth. Now in this case, we'll see, and the Gemara is going to explain later, that they both gave Nachman money. One gave it to him willingly, and one forced it upon him. But they both gave him money. So there, you can't be Morehet and say that the other person is not losing something. Because if he went and out to buy it, that means he needs it. Because if Eddie went to buy it, that means he needs the mouthwash. He's not feeling well, and therefore it wouldn't be right to deprive him of it. I might think a shvu is not necessary. Because Abi says, look, okay, so if I take it, Nachman's going to return the extra money to Eddie. He'll get it somewhere else. He's not losing anything. So that's why there's a shvua. But by the lost article, since Eddie found it first, he's going to lose it if Abi takes away half. And that's what the Gemara says. There is where who the Rabbanan shvua alei, the Rabbanan put a shvua on Abi. Mishum Demayri Varma, because he says Chavrai Demeikoyav, Ana Demeikoyavna. I gave money, he gave money. If I take it, so Nachman will give the money back to Eddie, and Eddie will get it somewhere else. Hashta the Tzricha I need it, Ashkelei. Ashkelei, I'll take it. But Chavrai lays a literal listen, and he'll go to the store and get another one. Bava Metzia, since Eddie found it first, if Abi takes it, he's taking away something that Eddie found. He found a wallet with $500. I might think that you don't need to swear. Tzricha, that in both cases you need to swear, as we welcome in Mark Frankel. Good to have you, Mark. And we are starting the new Masechta, Mark, and Beis Amid Beis. We're already turned the page on the way to finishing Bava Metzia. On the way already, turn the first page of Bava Metzia, and it's great to have all of you joining us here this evening. Already 33 Zoomers joining us for the new Masechta. I feel bad that one of our new sponsors isn't even here. Michal Avram didn't seem to make it. Gedalia, you know what's going on with Michal Avram?
He wasn't there for Shabbos.
I wasn't there for Shabbos.
He wasn't in Fairways for Shabbos.
I hear. Okay. So now the Gemara asks a very interesting question. How could, here we have our 34th Zoomer of the evening coming in and joining us now. I think that's Harrison Kletzel. That's Barry Cement. Whoa. Rabbi Sai. Barry Cement is here. That's great. Barry, Bruchim Aboim B'Shem Hashem. Baruch Hashem. And Barry, you look good. Baruch Hashem. Barry. He's okay. Anyway, Aaron Krickel is here. Richard Rosenzweig says, "Wow, hi Barry," and we are all happy. It uplifts us tremendously to have you join us.
Amen.
There he is. The man talks. It's good. Barry, it says Hamaskil b'mitzvah oimrim loy ligmar. You should be zeicher to finish with us.
Try.
Good. You should have the gesund to be able to do it. So anyway, the Gemara now asks the obvious question: How could Abi and Eddie argue who bought it from Nachman? Let's ask Nachman who he got the money from. So that's the next question of the Gemara. Let's see Who did Nachman take the money from? Says the Gemara, Lo tzvicha de noket mitravayu. He took from both of them. Mechad medate, one gave him the money that he accepted willingly, or mechad bal karch, and one pushed the money on him. And he already gave the item which the two of them grabbed. And once the Rishonim say, once they're out of Nachman's hand, Nachman is not believed anymore to say which one gave it to him willingly and which one forced it on him. So that's the suffix. V'lo yadana mihu medate, we don't know who gave it to him willingly, umihu bal karche. So now the Gemara starts, now we start going on a journey comparing the case in our Mishnah to other cases in Shas. So the first thing we do is Lema Masnisin Deloike Ben Nanas. Let's say our Mishnah is not like Ben Nanas. Now Ben Nanas is referring us to a case where what happened over here is that Mark Frankel, who's up to trouble, Mark Frankel, who's not listening to the shir in his normal spot, Mark Frankel hired Gedalia to do work for him. And he told Berish, the grocer, to give Gedalia goods for payment. Now what happens over here is that Berish says he gave the goods to Gedalia, and Gedalia says, I never got them. Right? That's what happens, Mark, when you delegate a job to somebody else. The Mark told Berish, the grocer, to give goods. Gedalia, he owes Gedalia $200, so he told him, give him meat for $200. Berish says he gave him the meat. Gedalia says he never got it. So it says Gedalia swears to Mark that he never got it, and Mark has to pay Gedalia the $200. And Berish swears to Gedalia that he gave the meat, and Mark has to give $200 to Berish. Comes along Ben Nanas, and Ben Nanas says we don't make a rule that both of them should swear where one of them is definitely swearing falsely. So the Gemara says, so obviously our Mishnah is not like Ben Nanas, because our Mishnah says that both Eddie and Abi have to swear, and one of them is swearing falsely. So the Gemara says, Masnisin, Lema Masnisin do like Ben Nanas. The Ben Nanas, because if it's going like Ben Nanas, Omar, Kate said, Elu ve'elu ba'am lidei shvur shav. He says that you don't make the grocer or the butcher and the employee swear because one of them is definitely going to lie. Says Gemara, no, it's not so. Over here, it's possible that they're both telling the truth. Here, it's possible that Abi and Eddie picked up the talis at the same time, and therefore both of them own half. And it's possible that they both gave the money to Nachman at the same time, and he was agreeable to sell it to both of them. And that's what the Gemara answers. Afilu Tema Ben Nanas Hosam, in the case with Berish and Gedalia, Vade Ikashvur Shav. One of them is lying. Either Berish gave them the meat and Gedalia is lying, or Gedalia didn't get it and Berish is lying. It's possible that there's no lie, because they both picked it up at the same time. But now the Gemara says, but we just learned Bava Kama, and we just learned, we have the original bad guy over here. Barry is here, right? I forgot. We don't have to haunt Mark. He could. Barry is here. Have no fear. Barry is here. So
Rabbi Barry should be exempted from this.
he is. He's going to go to the head of the class.
He doesn't get beaten up.
The marshal's not here yet. Don't worry.
If he's not here, I have to stand in, Barry, but now that you're back, Baruch Hashem.
He's standing in good company.
Now, it's mamish in the place of giants. So anyway, the infamous Barry has a shor, and the shor gores poor Abi's cow. And we find at the side of the cow a dead fetus. So Barry claims that the cow miscarried before his shor gored the cow. So he's not responsible for the fetus. Of course, Abi says that you caused the fetus to abort and you're responsible for this fetus. So Sumcha says, Yachloiku, while the Chacham say, Barry doesn't pay a red nickel, because Abi, you have to prove it. So the Gemara says, obviously, our Mishnah is not going according to Sumchas, because Sumchas says, Yachloiku, they split the amount of the fetus without a shvuah. Here in our Mishnah, they split it only with a shvuah. So that's what the Gemara says. Lema mas nisan, the like Sumchas. The Sumchas, because if it's going like Sumchas, that money that's in doubt, in this case the fetus, we're not sure if it was born before and Barry is not chayiv, or if it was born, it was aborted because of Barry's shor and then Barry is chayiv. So Sumcha says that Barry and Abi split it below shvuah, without a shvuah. So the Gemara says, well, if it's not Sumchas, it's definitely not the Rabbanan, because Velamai Rabbanan, the Rabbanan Imrei Amayt Mechavay of Araya. Says Gemara, no, it could be the Rabbanan. Rabbanan, when do they say Amayt Mechaver all of Araya and that Barry doesn't have to pay? That's where the Abi is not typhus. They're not both holding on to it. Amr Rabbanan said, and the Rabbanan say, if you want to take money away from Barry, you have to prove it. Amayt Mechaver all of Araya. The Travaya Tov say, here where they're both holding it, Palgila b'shvuah, they divide it with a shvuah. But according to Sumchas, Eliyam, it's Sumchas, Hashto Mahasam, over there, by the fetus, the Loi Tov say, still he needs a shvuah, Travaya Cholkin, still he doesn't need a shvuah, Travaya Cholkin b'loi shvuah. Hachad the Travaya Tov say, here where they're both holding it, like Kol Shchein, that you shouldn't need a shvuah? Says Gemara, Afilu Tema Sumchas, Kiyama Sumchas, where does Simchas say is halacha? By Shema v'Shema. Because Barry doesn't know if the cow was born, if the cow gave birth before or after, and nor does Abi. It's just perhaps. But in our case, Eddie says it's definitely his talis, and Abi says it's definitely his talis. So that's why you need a shvuah. Says the Gemara, Ula Rabba Baravuna de Amar Sumchas Afilu Bari. That Sumchas says Cholkin, even if Abi says he's sure, even if Barry says he's sure that the cow gave birth before, and Abi says he's sure that it was caused by Barry's shor goring the cow. Ma'i kilamemer. Says the Gemara. Now the Gemara says a real lumdisha difference, and it introduces an interesting clause, term in Shas, called Drara de Mamaina. Drara de Mamaina is where there's a certain loss of money. In the case of the fetus, there's a certain loss of money. Because if Barry's shor gored it while it was pregnant, so then Abi lost his fetus because of Barry's shor. If it was born before, and we take the money away from Barry, so then that's also a definite loss, because his shor didn't cause anything. So there, where there's a drara de mamaina, the Gemara suggests that we don't have a shvuah. Says the Gemara, let's see it inside. Ki amar sumchus, I feel tema sumchus. It could be going according to sumchus. Ki ama sumchus. Where does sumchus say you don't need a shvua? Heichadika drara de mamayna. Where there's a definite loss of money. Aval heichadaleka drara de mamayna. In our case, there's no loss of money because nobody was out of pocket. It's a lost article. It wasn't one somebody's. And by the case of the buying, the one who doesn't get the item, Nachman will return the money to. So the Gemara says that doesn't make sense. If you in the case of the fetus, where there's going to be a loss of definite money, we don't need a shvua. Either one stands to lose money, either Abi or Barry. And the Ikalamemer Kula Lamar, Ikalamemer Kula Lamar. And we could say that all the money is either Abi's, if Taka Barry Shah caused the miscarriage, or it's all Barry's if it was born beforehand. Without a shvua, below shvua. Where there's no drara de minor, where there's no loss, and the and it's possible that it belongs to both of them, and that nobody is lying. For sure, you shouldn't need a shvua. Like Kal Shechain says the Gemara, you're right, but you see, this is a different type of shvua. This is a shvua d'Rabbanan. Says the Gemara, afilu tema sumchis, shvua zu midrabbanan. Why? What's the rabbinical shvua? Kid Rabbi Yochanan, like Rabbi Yochanan. The Amar Rabbi Yochanan, shvua zu takanas chachamim. This shvua is a special takanas chachamim. Shelo yeh kol echad ve'echad haylech v'toikev b'talisa shechaverei. What's going to happen is Mark is holding on to his talis, and Barry grabs it from the back and says, "It's mine." You know, we can't have that. That we can't have. Says the Gemara. So therefore, since it would be a crazy world. So in order to forestall people from doing that, we instituted a shvua. Barry sees my new Torah. He likes a Torah. He grabs it. So therefore, we put a shvua on him. Okay, we're just going to pause a moment, Rabbi Isai.
Can I ask a shayla?
We're just going to pause a moment, Rabbi Isai.